Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going through my list of 5 pretty important things that need to be changed in this game. Now, I guess you could say they really don't need to, but if the devs care, then these things would be major points that they might look at and try to revamp or change. So I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to get straight into the list. At number 5, I have more quality of life. And what I mean by this is if we go into inventory, just look at how unorganized, just completely random the inventory is. And this is extremely annoying. Now obviously you can search and sort a sort, but there should be more options like sorting by rares or sorting by alphabetical order or sorting by legendary, like just rarity in general. And that's not all I'm talking about. If we go to the Crystal Forge, if you go to the Crystal Forge, you can see here that I have 122 uncommon crystals, which isn't a lot. I could probably just combine those by clicking, but I have 1,655 rare crystals. And 5 rare crystals will get me 1 legendary crystal. So I have to click this, God knows how many times, this divided by 5 to completely convert it. There should be an option here to select the amount of rare crystals that you want to convert and then click one button to convert them all. So that's another quality of life they could add. And then if we go to the upgrade station, alright, at the upgrade station, dismantle, if the menu pops up, dismantle, you can see it's kind of like the inventory again. You either have, you have all the items in kind of a random order, and then you have just a search option. You should be able to sort these by rarity. You should be able to mass dismantle and just some other basic quality of life changes. And then if we go to upgrade, it's the same thing, except with the crystals now. You should be able to sort this. I mean, you could search, but you know, just going back with the inventory and stuff, sometimes I forget a weapon's name, so being able to go to the category, like I know if I forgot Hell Reaver, I would know it's a two-handed sword, and I could just sort by legendary if I have a lot of two-handed weapons, and I just go to where the legendaries are, and I'll find Hell Reaver. Here you could do the same thing, and then also being able to mass upgrade. I should be able to click on an item, and then like just right here, to the left or the right, be able to pick how many crystals I want to automatically use. And it would still apply all the rates for success and everything like that, but it would use all those crystals at once. This leads us into number 2, which I have an upgrade system rework. And what I mean by this is sometimes, like, I swear it's rigged, right? Because sometimes you'll get into a loop where you succeed, fail, succeed, fail, succeed, fail like 6 times in a row. And that makes no sense because it'll happen whenever there's like a 60% chance of failing. So you'd think after about 2 or 3 times that it would eventually do a double fail or a double success, and it just continues to do that loop, and it happens a lot. It happens a lot more than I think it should. Also, the upgrade system, I don't know what they were thinking, but at first when you have your lower rarity weapons like rare, you're like, okay, rare weapons aren't that hard to get, plus 10 isn't that bad. What they shouldn't have done was made legendary weapons, which are a lot rarer and a lot harder to get, cost more to upgrade, which then leads to way lower chances for those higher upgrades. So it like increases tenfold the amount of resources that you need, which I think is not fair to the player. I think it's stupid. I think what they should have done was kept a universal upgrade level, which would have been plus 10 or maybe even plus 15, which I think plus 15 is a little high for new players especially to get a legendary weapon to. But I mean, after all the duping, we'll get to that later, but after all the duping, it's not too hard to get the resources for it, but especially for a new player, it should have been like plus 10, and the scaling should have been better for each weapon. So if I got a legendary weapon, each upgrade would give way more damage than it would have a rare weapon. Then obviously level would play into that, or like the level of the weapon would play into that scaling. But I don't think they should have went from a rare weapon doing plus 15 to a legendary doing plus 20 when legendaries are way harder to get and cost a lot more to get. Alright, coming in at number 3, I have a new rarity. I think it's about time that we do get a new rarity of weapons. And if you do think about it, we got the first rarity, or first legendary weapon on floor 5. And if we fast forward 5 floors, technically we could have, or we should have gotten another rarity on floor 10. Now I know that doesn't have anything to do with it, but since we didn't get a new rarity on floor 10 or floor 11, I think that it's about time that we do get a new rarity, and I actually do have reasons for that. One thing about the new rarity is that if we take a look at legendary weapons now, they barely get any more attack than the last legendary weapon, and this has led to mobs, especially on floor 11, just having so much health. And a way I think that we can fix that is by adding a new rarity. Now, Prism Wrath isn't really a good example because it is an event weapon, but 140, 20 levels higher than what we had on floor 11, 4,000 damage maxed out. Now, if we get a floor 11 max legendary, 3,570. So not even 500 more damage for 20 levels. And now a way around this is adding a new rarity. And now you're probably like, oh, if we add a new rarity, that means the drop rates are going to be abysmal. They're going to be so low compared to what they are now. And they're already bad. Well, if we look at how other games handle it, when a new rarity is introduced, it is rarer, but it's not that much rarer than it was before. The old rarity, the old best rarity, is pushed back a little bit and made more common, while the new rarity is just a little bit rarer than what the last best rarity was. So, if we take a look at the drop percentages in the game now, rares would stay at 1%, like they always have been, but then legendaries would be always 0.1% or a little lower. And we have had multiple legendaries, 0.1 and a little bit high, or 0.01 rather, and a little bit higher. So what I'm thinking is we push the legendaries on like floor 12 and on up to like 0.5%, right? And the new rarity, which could be like exotic or just, you know, whatever rarity you want, or like whatever you want to call the new rarity, we would put that at about 0.05%. So legendaries would keep the kind of bad scaling, so they'd always be better than the previous legendaries. But then for people who actually want to grind and have like can just sit there and grind, 0.05% chance for every, let's just say, exotic is just 0.01%, apparently 0.01% more common than the prism. And you saw how many prisms there actually are. So people were able to get prism somewhat easily, and it would also give a lot of value, assuming there is no dupe glitch out at the moment. It would give a lot of value to those weapons and give people something to trade for that isn't purchasable in the item shop or the burst store. And what this would also do, it would allow for weapons to scale with the floors a lot better. So you don't go into a floor with an exotic doing almost 0 damage and having to get the new legendary, but then once you get the new legendary / exotic, it just only does 500 more damage, or barely 1,000 more damage. So yeah, that's why I think we should get a new rarity. And going on to number 2, I've got XP rework. Now this one's just going to be I'm just going to cover this one real quick. XP, I know like max level's 250, and realistically we're only supposed to be around 120 with the floor. But I also think I heard something about the XP getting reworked in a future update. But just in case that rumor is false, I have this at number 2 because one specific part of XP scaling that I do not like is that if you go to like floor 5 dungeon, for example, that's only halfway through the game, right? And it's given like 60 XP per mob, I believe. Now I could be wrong, I didn't really check exactly, but from my memory it gives about 60 XP. And your dungeon mob or regular mob on floor 10/11/9, they only give like 150 to 200 XP. And with the way XP scales per level, as you can see, I'm 183. I think this is the first level that it takes 100,000 XP to level up. 200 XP per kill, that's just crazy. Like, that's nothing what we actually need. And I believe I was watching somebody who did a live stream for about an hour and a half on floor 11, the newest floor, and they only got 1 level at the mini boss in an hour and a half. Now, I mean, okay, yeah, he's level 180. I think he went from 179 to 180. But even then, an hour and a half is quite a bit of time to farm the mini boss. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about XP rework. Something simple, but it is pretty important. Coming in at number 1. Oh, actually, before we get to number 1, I do want to note something real quick. I didn't want to put this on the list because it's not the biggest deal, but I think it's about time that Swordburst 2 gets a UI update. And you know, it's not horrible, but this UI is a bit outdated. Swordburst 2 did come out in like 2017. And I don't know if they have somebody that can do UI on their team, but if there is someone, I at least want them to give them the idea that the Swordburst 2 GUI or UI could use a little bit of an update, make it look a little more sleek and up to date with modern games and stuff. But yeah, that was just a quick honorable mention. But now, probably the most important part of Swordburst 2 is the economy. And at number 1, I have an economy reset / vel cap removed. Now, one that I think most people can agree with is to just wipe everybody's vel and have them start from 0 and remove the cap. Now, there is still the dupe glitch, but even with people duping vel, I still had way more fun playing this game, trading items for actual currency. Because now people just trade old max legends, and it's like, well, it's kind of stupid. Like, I mean, it's not stupid, but it's a lot more enjoyable to have a game where there's an actual currency involved. I mean, if you look at any RPG, every RPG you would be able to go to somebody and trade the actual in-game currency for an item. But in Swordburst 2, that's not the case. You will probably not find anybody that is trading items for vel. It's always for old max legends or auras. And I think just resetting everybody's vel to 0 and then having everybody have to re-get it, like refarm mobs to get it, would put a nice reset on vel. And I'd say probably in a month or 2, people would start trading vel again. But that's what I want to say about that. And the vel cap remove, I think we should just remove the vel cap. Like, 10 million is just too little. And then for items, I know a lot of people dupe items, and instead of doing like a full reset and removing everybody's gear, I would say all the legendary gear, not crystals, not so much crystals, but like all the legendary gear, since that's what people dupe the most. I would say reset or like set those to where if anybody has 5 or more of that legendary equipment. Now that you guys might not like this is just an idea, but set those legendaries. Like, see right here, I have more than 5 Destiny songs. I have 7 here. I would get this cap to 5. So I'd come in one day and I would only have 5 Destiny songs instead of 7. And that way, anybody who's a normal player who only really has about this much, or should only have about this much unless they're like a hardcore grinder, they don't really lose much. But I lose 2 Destiny songs, like, okay. But those dupers, assuming that we've patched the dupe glitch, those dupers lose like 95% of their duped inventory, and they'll get set down to a reasonable level, and then from there the economy will be working again. People will be able to trade, things will have value, things won't be super cheap. Auras, honestly, set auras to like 20 each if someone has more, and that's kind of an iffy spot as well, because someone could have spent like 20,000 Robux and got 20 hazy anaglyphs or whatever, or got lucky with like 3,000 or with like 5,000-6,000 Robux and got 20. I don't even know if that's enough to even spend 20 times, but that's kind of an iffy spot. But you might not even need to touch auras, maybe just cap it to a reasonable level like 40-50. But yeah, that's what I have to say with the economy, and that was my number 1. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe. If you guys have any other things that you think needs changed in Swordburst 2, let me know in the comments. I really want to see what you guys want changed in this game. And I know I probably won't have any sort of impact on the game. This is just a video pretty much of me ranting about the state of Swordburst 2, and I know there's only a couple devs on here, but you know, that's what I think should be changed, and hopefully it gets changed. If not, then I don't know, I guess we'll all just have to suck it up. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.